Good morning, Ignite. This is Paul Ford. I work on the Business Development Alliances team here at VMware, and I'm responsible for our relationship with Microsoft. And welcome to Ignite 2020. Hopefully you got a lot of information out of yesterday's keynotes, but we're here today to talk about some of the solutions that we're bringing to bear in the partnership between our two organizations. As you start your transition to the cloud, as you begin your digital transformation, a lot of you are VMware customers, and we know that you want to take your transformation to the cloud, and I think that's what this partnership does. Whether it's your infrastructure, whether it's some of your end-user experience, technology, or anything in between, VMware is that company that allows you to access any app on any cloud on any device. And part of that, any cloud, is obviously Microsoft Azure, and we're excited by the partnership, and we're really excited you invested your time here today. I know some of you on the East Coast early risers, but for you on the West Coast, welcome. So I want to start off, and I have here a group of product experts from across the company to address some of your questions. But first, I want to show you the slide that details some of the offerings. And there's a lot on this slide, and I know it. Unless you've been walked through this slide with your Microsoft, or excuse me, your VMware rep, it might be a little confusing. But these are our 5 digital franchises, and it starts. And I'll start from left to right. But when you think about app modernization, we want to help you make that pivot to modern applications. And we acquired Pivotal, we acquired Heptio over the past 12, 18 months, and we have a new product offering called Tanzu. And this allows you to build with Kubernetes, orchestrate Kubernetes, and manage your Kubernetes applications long term. And we'll get into some of that, what that means shortly. The big announcement for us yesterday was Azure VMware Solution. This is the next gen version. I'm sure you've heard about this in the news, and some of you might already be using this product. But it was the new GA was out yesterday, and we have a lot of other technology to help you with some of your multi-cloud efforts. When it comes to networking, some of you might be NSXT customers, but we're extending some of that technology to the cloud. We can get into some of that today. For those of you that have VDI infrastructure, or maybe even managing and your Windows 10 and mobile device fleets with Workspace ONE, we have some updates on that technology this week. And when it comes to what we're doing with Carbon Black, you may or may not know you can input some of those signals into Azure Sentinel as well. So either way, there's a whole breadth of solutions here, and we want to leverage this 30 minutes with you to hopefully assess some of your fears about these technologies, or even just let you ask for some random questions. So I see some questions are coming in already, and I want to ask. So let's start with AVS. Want to see. Here's a question coming in. The AVS service is based on VMware's Cloud Foundation, which includes vSphere, NSX, and vSphan. Am I required to have VCF on premises to move any of my existing workloads to AVS? Is the AVS team here? Oh, doesn't look like it, but I'll answer that question. Short answer is no. You do not need to have a full VCF deployment on-prem in order to migrate your workloads to AVS. You can have any vSphere-based deployment, actually any SKU, and you can move those workloads seamlessly to AVS. Let's talk about Horizon Cloud. That's our VDI product. We've integrated it with Windows Virtual Desktop this year. Skip, does Horizon Cloud on Azure work with FS Logics?
Absolutely. We've totally integrated our added value with FS Logic so that you get the best of WVD as well as the Horizon. So absolutely. And we have a white paper that is available out on the public net.
While I have you, why do I need app volumes if I have FS Logics and MSIX app attach?
Yeah, so app volumes, which was recently launched 4.x, which we've been running on our Horizon on-prem solution. What it does is it brings a new level of app stack compatibility. So especially in a hybrid mode, you now can have app portability across what you do on-prem with Horizon, as well as in Horizon on Azure. So it's kind of an add-on. You definitely want to leverage the FS Logics, but the user profiling that we bring with App Volumes and also our DEM environment, which is another feature set, it really is a value add to FS Logics. So this white paper I mentioned has full details on why they work best together, and they're both included, so it's not extra money.
Well, in addition to App Volumes, Skip, what is some of the value add that Horizon brings to WVD? As we know, WVD is a very good core platform, but when it comes to really complex deployments, VMware customers have a lot of extra value to leverage. Can you talk about that?
Absolutely, Paul. Yeah, so that was really one of the big driving forces of Horizon working so closely with the WVD team to bring these to market together, and they're complementary. So I just mentioned a dynamic environment manager, which brings this whole user persona functionality that is once again compatible from the on-prem all the way to the cloud on Azure. So DEM. Extensive power management, all graphically, I guess, managed through the console in the cloud. So our DEM I mentioned, complete power management capabilities that's there, the app volumes that we mentioned a minute ago, being able to deliver applications in real time to your desktop rather than having to build these very large desktops. You can bring them and attach them real time, which really makes an efficient environment and reduces your cost. And one of the probably the biggest one, which we've had some huge successes together, which is time to value. The time to value, we've been able, and we've got customers that we're able to deploy over 30,000 desktops in 1 week's time. And so the ability with our automation that's built into Horizon Cloud on Azure really delivers value where, it doesn't require scripting. It is really just something that we deliver by deploying VMs into the customer's Azure subscription in a very timely manner, and then be able to manage it with a full set of management tools. So, Paul?
Yeah, and Skip, just something we had a question come through the Q&A. Will customers be able to run VMware Horizon 8 on top of AVS?
Absolutely. That is the version that we are launching with AVS. Is the Horizon 8 software. So the compatibility that you would have with your Horizon 8 on-prem and Horizon 8 running on AVS is great. We would be able to leverage universal broker capabilities and other feature sets that allow you this ability to extend or to provide DR to your on-prem environment. So absolutely, Horizon 8 support on AVS.
Perfect. A question came in with a customer asking if they started with a smaller AVS node and the larger one is better, would they be able to change up their host sizes? Absolutely. The question to that is yes, Robert. And you could talk to your Microsoft rep about those details. In addition, I saw a question about now that it's GA, which regions are available? The regions available for new Azure VMware solutions, West, US West, US East. We're also, there is a location in Northern Europe and in Australia. And I would talk to your Microsoft rep about the roadmap. The roadmap is pretty robust, but I'll leave it to them to provide the details there. But I know that our goal is to get to Asia as quickly as possible. I want to shift a little bit to some other technologies that VMware has. Ellie, I have a question around Tanzu. How is VMware Tanzu related to Pivotal Cloud Foundry?
So a great question. Thank you for asking it. I'm excited to be here. So the most direct response is Pivotal Cloud Foundry is part of the Tanzu portfolio. Pivotal Cloud Foundry, the traditional Pivotal Cloud Foundry, is now called Tanzu Application Service. This is one of the offerings that we are having in our Tanzu portfolio. You should look out for Tanzu Application Service on Kubernetes coming out shortly, and we will be supporting both.
Awesome. And while I have you, how does this complement the current vSphere portfolio? I know we made some announcements around this stuff over the past couple of weeks.
So one of the elements of the Tanzu portfolio is Tanzu Kubernetes Grid. which is our Kubernetes distribution, which is built by a whole team around Kubernetes co-founders. Tanzu Kubernetes Grid is now part of vSphere 7. We've just made this announcement, which means you will now be able to run Kubernetes workloads right in vSphere wherever you run it today. And the idea is that you'll be able to build on top of it to have developer productivity and operator productivity, both on vSphere or any cloud you choose to run it on. And we're having deeper integrations with Microsoft across the board to make Azure a great cloud to run Tanzu on and any other technology on.
Yeah, you kind of danced around this, but for our DevOps folks out there, what infrastructure is actually required to run Tanzu application service, artist formerly known as VeloCloud Foundry?
In terms of infrastructures that you can run Tanzu application service on, you can obviously run it on vSphere. You can run it on Azure natively on Azure VMs, and soon you'll be able to run this on Kubernetes as well.
Perfect. Thank you, Ellie. Joseph, I see some questions coming in around SD-WAN. Can you give us some insights into how what we're doing with VMware SD-WAN can help some of our customers out there as they go to deploy Office 365 and across their branch networks?
Yeah, thank you, Paul, and great to be here as well. It's an interesting question because today everyone's working from home. So the concept of branch office and office locations have obviously been distributed to the home environments. So effectively, if you look at 365 and the recommendations for connectivity, Microsoft 365 recommends that the best way to access M365 services is through direct internet connections. So it's not through a proxy or through some private connection. It's just going directly to 365. Now, 365 has their cloud elements, but what they've done is they've partnered with various telecommunication partners to provide this network POP, or what they call the service front door entries. And these service front doors basically expand out and provide a direct connectivity to the cloud at the closest or nearest point to the users. Now, these are distributed. What we do is we've worked with the 365 teams. We are on their network partner principal program that allows us to understand where all those service entry points are, and there's hundreds and thousands of those entry points. And so effectively what we'll do is, as users go to the 365 environments, like Teams, like SharePoint, OneDrive, whatnot, what we'll do is we'll send that user traffic to the nearest and most optimized entry point, but at the same time, because the traffic is going through the last mile, which is internet, which is best effort, we'll apply our SD-WAN technologies to optimize and secure that traffic to those endpoints as well. And so effectively, we demonstrated to the 365 team that using VeloCloud in addition to being on the partner program yields the best results. And we've demonstrated with acceleration and better user experience for things like Teams and SharePoint and OneDrive, as I mentioned.
Perfect. Thank you. I had a couple questions coming in around what is Azure VMware Solutions, and will people be able to run the VMware hypervisor, i.e. vSphere on Azure? And the short answer to that question is absolutely yes. That was one of the GA announcements that was made yesterday in the Azure keynote. Azure VMware Solutions is our core hypervisor, ESX, vCenter, networking with NSX, and storage with vSAN, all available on Azure. And it's an Azure SKU, which means all the investments that customers have made with Microsoft, you can leverage on this product. And they are your first call for support. You'll be actually purchasing the product from them and a partnership from us. So thank you for that question. Lucas, how does CloudHealth differ from Azure native tools, specifically Azure Cost Management?
Yeah, hey, thanks, Paul. Great question. So I'd say one of the big challenges we hear a lot from our customers is the single pane of glass. And not just to be able to see their entire Azure environment and all of their subscriptions and resource groups in one view, but also their other cloud environments, their Google, their Azure, and then potentially their on-prem as well. So what we see a lot of our customers using is this feature in CloudHealth called Perspectives, which is the ability to group resources not just within a cloud, but also outside of the cloud. So you may say, all right, I don't really care what cloud I'm running in. I want to know what all of my environment equals production costs are. And what you can do, and maybe it's environment equals production in Azure, and then it's prod in GCP. So what you can do is you can create these perspectives with this logical business rules to group those costs to be able to see what those are together.
Awesome. Thank you, Lucas. Another question coming in. Skip, can we convert app volumes packages into MSIX packages easily, or do they have to repackage?
No, it's actually out. The answer is yes. There's a whole blog that we put together, and it's been available here recently. So search the internet, plus I answered the question with a link to the white paper that we have from our product management team. There's also some public bloggers out there that the MSIX integration into app volumes is absolutely available.
Awesome. Alrighty, Ellie, question around what we're doing with Azure Spring Cloud. Can you give us an overview of what that is? And we know that just went GA to the customers out there, so we're excited that you're interested in leveraging it.
Great. Azure Spring Cloud is a managed service built jointly between Microsoft and VMware that makes hosting Spring Boot and Spring Cloud applications much easier on Azure. It is the only service available currently on any public cloud, and we're super excited to bring it together to Azure. It makes Spring is the most popular Java framework in the world today. That's used by many enterprises from small to big, and we're excited to build this service jointly with Microsoft in collaboration with our Spring team here inside of VMware. One of the announcements made at Ignite this week is now Azure Spring Cloud also supports SteelToe, which is our .NET library. So now you can host both your Spring applications and .NET Core applications. The specific use case that makes it super, super interesting is if you're building microservices inside of an enterprise, if you're building them both in Spring and you have teams that build in .NET Core, now you can build those microservices, and those microservices can interact with each other, can have dependencies one on another, and you can manage them all in Azure Spring Cloud. So we're super excited about that.
Awesome, Ellie. And I have a question around our load balancing tools with Avi Network. Chandra, do customers really need to rethink some of their load balancing strategies, and how does Avi excel in helping them improve these?
Thanks, Paul, and thanks for the question. One of the things that Avi has established is a multi-cloud load balancing platform. So Avi is a fully software-defined load balancing platform. It doesn't require any proprietary appliances, and what it was built with the cloud in mind. So it's able to automatically deploy applications in Microsoft Azure, and with the integrations that the Avi controller has with Microsoft Azure, it's possible to automatically program the Azure scale sets and the VNets. And help the delivery of applications at massive scale in Azure as well as in on-prem environments. So what this helps enterprises do is avoid the need to over-provision or deploy virtual edition appliances in their on-prem or migrate their applications to the cloud with inflexible infrastructure. So with Avi, enterprises can migrate their applications with the same consistent load balancing features, the enterprise-grade load balancing features that they enjoy on-prem, as well as in Azure. So companies like Adobe and Symantec, now called NortonLifeLock, deploy Avi on Azure to get the same consistent load balancing services, both on-prem and in the cloud, and manage all of this centrally. So Avi allows enterprises to manage their entire fleet of load balancers as a flexible fabric that can be policy administered centrally. So that saves them a massive amount of operational overhead. It helps them troubleshoot applications very easily because ABI has point-and-click mechanisms by which you can identify application latency issues. And so administrators don't have to deal with TCP dumps and log exports anymore. And of course, it helps save costs as well because it's an enterprise-grade, fully supported load balancer that has all of the features that you would expect in load balancing, as well as a web application firewall. We talked about Tanzu earlier. ABI also provides full ingress services, ingress load balancing, L4 load balancing, web application firewalling, as well as application analytics for Tanzu.
Awesome. Thank you, Chandra. Couple quick questions on AVS. Do you pay for Azure and VMware or just one discounted payment from AVS? You would actually just go to Microsoft directly to purchase the AVS solution. We can work. We'll work with your respective account reps on the discount, so to speak. I can't quote that one directly, but that's something we would have to purchase from Microsoft. And is there any plans around AVS certification and exam pass? I know the team at Microsoft, in conjunction with us, is working on these things. We want you guys to be trained on the solution. So stay tuned for that. We have 5 minutes left. Joseph, quick overview. I know you highlighted some of this on your previous question, but what services exactly does SD-WAN integrate with from Microsoft within the Azure networking portfolio?
So great question. Well, we've been working with the Microsoft folks for many years now. We've got over half a dozen, got about 8 different projects working with the Azure networking folks as well as the M365, and we'll be starting some work with the Dynamic 365 teams. From the Azure side, effectively what we're doing is we're providing a single kind of pane of glass for connecting users from the branch locations, from their homes even, to these Azure resources. So we've worked with the guys around vWAN, so you'll see us connecting to the vWAN as well as the vHub. We've got integrations with the ExpressRoute team around their upcoming the virtual router solution that also allows users to get connected to AVS resources through Horizon on Azure as well, along with the other different third-party solutions and Microsoft native solutions. So in addition to providing connectivity from the branch, we're the first SD-WAN to be offering a work from home. So I ask our audience members to take a look at that. So we're extending our SD-WAN all the way over to the home environments through the commercial broadband environments. And so we're providing better access for voice, video, collaboration tools. So these real-time applications that are subject to latency and degradation in the environments. And then we'll be also, as I mentioned, working on connecting users to the AVS environments. We called out earlier on the M365 as well.
Awesome. Thank you, Joseph. Lucas, one more question your way. We know that customers are leveraging CloudHealth to really cost optimize everything they're doing in the cloud and actually on premise. Can you tell us some ways that our customers are leveraging the platform APIs to automate some of these processes?
Yeah, for sure. So we see a lot of our companies using the platform for optimization, but in terms of the APIs, one of the big areas we see people adopting is around security. So we have security policies to identify resources or potentially buckets that could be open, storage containers that are open to the public, and being able to, as soon as we alert those, being able to programmatically pull that information and identify those resource owners potentially that have been included in like the tag or the label of that resource. Awesome.
And one last question, and we can kind of close it down here. Well, this is related to AVS. And what tool console do I use to manage the Azure VMware solution environment? Can I use my on-premises vCenter to manage the AVS environment? And can I use my Azure console? The answer to that question is both. If you're more of a VI admin and your team leverages more of the vCenter capabilities, you can manage your Azure VMware solution footprint through vCenter. If you're coming from Azure out and your team is more comfortable leveraging the Azure portal and spinning up nodes through that interface and user style, you can do that as well. so that the option is there for you as customers to leverage whatever you're most comfortable with, and honestly, whatever your skills and your internal processes allow for. With that, I think we're coming up on time. Let me scroll through some questions here to see if there's any more for the group. Yeah, someone's asking about the keynote for Azure. I believe if you look up Julia White's keynote, if you just search her name, I think it's Building with Azure, Building with Power in Azure is the name. You can find out more about our GA announcement and obviously some of the other cool things that we're doing, that Microsoft's doing around Azure. All right, I think we're good, guys. I see a lot of questions coming in. We couldn't get to all of them. We'll try to follow up with some of you folks, but overall, thank you for investing your time in the VMware session this morning. We hope you guys have a good Ignite. If you have any additional questions, actually, we'll do our best to follow up, but feel free to visit our virtual page here at Ignite, and always don't hesitate to reach out to your VMware rep. That's what they're there for. And if they have any questions on the partnership, they're going to backstop the group here on the phone to address your needs. So again, thank you for your time. Hope everyone's staying safe out there, and enjoy the rest of your week. Thanks again. Thanks to the VMware team as well.